You say you almost lost her on the table?
Yes. Cardiac arrest. I promised I'd call if anything serious happened. But her heartbeat is stable now, and she recovered nicely.
It's very strange. I had a premonition about that.
She's over the worst of it now, Mr. McCord. But we do have a few more hours to go, and then, of course, the first 48 hours after surgery will be critical.
I see. Well, thank you for keeping me up to date, Doctor. I'll be expecting your call when she's in recovery.
So far, so good, Mr. McCord. Keep your fingers crossed.
I don't think that's quite enough, Doctor. I'm praying instead. Well, thank you for calling.
I heard the telephone ring in here. I knew it had to be the hospital. How is she?
I believe she's going to make it, Mrs. Renfield.
I never doubted that God was on your side for a single moment, Mr. McCord.
God on my side. That is a comforting thought.
If this woman lives...
Mrs. Renfield, we are calling her Rebecca Cartwright. Please try to remember that.
Yes, of course. If Miss Cartwright lives, and if she can speak...
What will she say? Will she hate me, Mrs. Renfield? Will she turn me over to the police? Will she accuse me of trying to kill her?
We don't know that.
No, we don't. You know, sometimes between the operations on her face, I would look at her. She would look back at me, and her eyes, well, they were so full of accusation.
Oh, come now, Mr. McCord. Are you sure that wasn't your feelings of guilt reading more into those looks than was really there?
I suppose perhaps you're right. But Mrs. Renfield, I tried so many times to tell her that I never really meant to harm her.
She was in love with you. She must have known that you could never harm any woman.
Sometimes when I think back on that night, I think back and I try to remember exactly the way it all happened. We were quarreling, you know, and it was a terrible, horrific quarrel, and...
Yes, and she stepped backward and the earth gave away.
No, Miss Renfield, you were not there. You don't know. I laid my hands on her, and I wanted to strangle her. What she'd done to me and to our love. But did I want her dead, Mrs. Renfield? Was that in my mind that night?
Of course not. You were upset and disillusioned, and that was all.
I was a man in love. A man who had felt betrayed. I want, for one terrible moment, for that woman to fall off that cliff to her death.
Stop it. Please stop it.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Renfield. I didn't mean to burden you with those memories.
Mr. McCord, I want you to promise me something. I want you to put these thoughts out of your mind once and for all. You can't do this to yourself, don't you understand? You can't keep taking on the guilt of the world. What happened was an act of God. I know you never touched that woman. You see, I believe that because I know you so well. I know that you are a gentle, sensitive soul who could never take the life of another human being.
I'd like to believe that, Mrs. Renfield. But we both know that there is a dark side to me that I desperately try to keep under control. My temper. And if I do lose control of it, perhaps I am capable of killing. You know that, and so do I. Nola, is that you?
Hi.
Hello. I've been waiting for you to come home all day.
Really?
Yes. I spent a lovely hour with the baby today.
Oh. I better go up and check on her, see how she's doing.
Oh, where have you been?
I had some personal things to take care of.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to pry.
Oh, that's okay. I guess you're the only person that I know that doesn't snoop around in other people's business. Hey, listen, I have an idea.
What's that?
Why don't I go upstairs and get the baby and bring her downstairs and we can all spend some time together?
That would be lovely. Why don't you do that?
Okay, I will.
Nola, what am I going to do about you? What can I do about you? Hello?
Mr. McCord.
Is that you, Doctor?
Yes. I wanted to call and tell you the operation is over. We won't know if there's any brain damage from the cardiac arrest until she regains consciousness.
Oh, call me as soon as you know anything. I mean, all that matters is her welfare. I don't care about anything else at the moment. I mean, please see to it that she gets the best of care no matter what the cost is. She's very important to me, Doctor. The most important woman in my life.
Mrs. Renfield said you wanted to see me.
Yes, I did.
Well,
Nola, I don't understand. I'm puzzled by the way you're acting.
why?
A while ago, you said you were going upstairs to get the baby and bring her down here so the three of us could be together. Now, that didn't happen. And you didn't come down for dinner either.
The baby had an upset stomach. I had Fritz bring a plate up. Is there anything else you want, Mr. McCord?
Nola, what has happened to change you so much so quickly? Now, are you angry with me for something?
It's not important.
And would you stop this? Of course it's important. Tell me what's wrong.
Okay. 1 minute you're saying wonderful things to me. The next minute I hear you saying that there's a woman, that she's the most important thing in the world to you. How do you think that makes me feel?